Welcome back to my channel, Celebes. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Montgomery Clift was born Edward Montgomery Clift on October 17, 1920 in Omaha, Nebraska. He grew up in a rich family, but his home life was hard. His mom was a fancy lady who thought she came from royal families. She wanted to raise her kids to be classy and smart. From when he was little, Clift learned about art, books, and different languages. This would help him become a great actor later, but his childhood was tough. After the big stock market crash in 1929, his family lost lots of money. Young Monty, as people called him, became quiet and sad. These hard times as a kid shaped who he was inside. They gave him deep feelings that would later make people love watching him act. Clift's acting career started on Broadway, not in Hollywood movies. He first acted on Broadway when he was only 15 years old in a play called Fly Away Home. People quickly noticed he was a serious and hardworking actor. Unlike other actors, Clift didn't want to be famous just for money or attention. He thought acting was real art and worked very hard to get better. During the 1940s, people knew him as one of the best young stage actors in America. He acted with famous people like Tula Bankhead and Lillian Hellman. He believed in acting that felt real and true, not fake or over the top like other actors did back then. His honesty and hard work made other actors and critics really respect him. Hollywood movie makers eventually wanted him, and Clift made his first movie in 1948 called Red River with John Wayne. Even though it was a cowboy movie, Clift brought quiet sadness and deep thinking to his character. This was very different from John Wayne's tough guy style. That same year, he starred in The Search, a sad movie about a young person who survived the Holocaust. This movie got Clift nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. People right away saw he was a new kind of movie star. He was handsome but seemed haunted, gentle but strong. His thin face and intense stare made girls love him, but it was his honest emotions and inner struggles that made him unforgettable. Along with Marlon Brando and James Dean, Clift became important in making acting more real. Even though he never went to the famous actor's studio like Brando did, Clift still changed how people acted in movies. He made it okay for male actors to show their feelings and be vulnerable. He changed what it meant to be a leading man for many years after him. Throughout the 1950s, Clift gave amazing performances in some of the best movies of that time. In A Place in the Sun in 1951, he played George Eastman, a poor man torn between wanting success and being in love. He acted opposite Elizabeth Taylor, and their performance is still one of the most loved in movie history. Clift and Taylor had amazing chemistry, and they stayed best friends for his whole life. In From Here to Eternity in 1953, Clift played Private Robert E. Leah Pruitt, a soldier who wouldn't follow orders. This got him his second Oscar nomination. His acting was raw and quietly sad, showing how deep his emotions could go. He kept challenging himself with hard roles in movies like Raintree County, The Heiress, and I Confess. He always tried to make his acting feel real and true. But Clift's career and life took a terrible turn in 1956 when he got in a really bad car accident after leaving a dinner party at Elizabeth Taylor's house. The accident hurt his face badly, and he needed many surgeries. Even though he lived through it, the physical and mental damage lasted forever. His once beautiful face was changed forever, and the pain made him depend more and more on drugs and alcohol. Even with these problems, Clift's acting stayed powerful. In Judgment at Nuremberg in 1961, he played a man with learning disabilities who had been hurt by the Nazis. He gave a heartbreaking performance that only lasted a few minutes, but got him another Academy Award nomination. His ability to play characters with such understanding and intensity, even while he was suffering so much personally, showed his amazing talent and strength. Clift's last years were marked by getting sicker, personal problems, and a career that became unpredictable. But even in his later movies, like The Misfits in 1961 with Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable, his acting still had deep meaning. People who knew him personally said he was gentle, smart, and tortured. He was a man struggling with his sexuality at a time when being gay or bisexual could destroy your career. His emotional pain, loneliness, and lifelong search for who he really was gave him a tragic mystery that has only gotten deeper over time. His last finished movie, The Defector in 1966, was a spy movie that showed glimpses of the deep emotions he still had even as his health got worse. Many writers who have studied Montgomery Clift's life have noticed how complex his personal relationships were, especially his romantic connections with both men and women. These stories mostly come from interviews with his close friends, people who worked with him, and those who knew him in Hollywood and Broadway circles. Though Clift was publicly connected to a few women like the talented actresses Libby Holman and Phyllis Thaxter, these relationships were much shorter and less important than the deep, loving bonds he had with several men throughout his life. Holman, a singer and actress with her own dramatic life story, was one of the women people said was close to Clift. Some people thought their relationship had moments of strong feelings, but it didn't last long. Similarly, Phyllis Thaxter, a respected actress known for being graceful, was connected to Clift through their social groups and occasional romantic rumors. But there's little proof that their connection was anything more than brief and not very important. In contrast, Clift's longest and most meaningful romantic relationships were with men, many of whom worked in the performing arts world, where Clift felt more understood and accepted. One of his most notable relationships was with Jack Larson, an actor famous for playing Jimmy Olsen in the TV show Adventures of Superman. Their connection was more than friendship. It was a significant emotional and romantic relationship during a time when openly admitting such relationships was extremely rare and could end your career. Another important person in Clift's personal life was William Lemma, a respected theater actor who Clift had a relationship with for about 3 years. This relationship was especially treasured by both men. Lemma not only stayed a loyal friend to Clift throughout his life, but also kept memories of their time together through recorded film reels. These films captured moments of fun and friendship among their group of friends during productions like There Shall Be No Night. This old footage is a touching reminder of the closeness they shared, giving a rare look into the private, happy moments that were often hidden from the public eye. Among the most emotionally intense and influential relationships Clift had was with Jerome Robbins, the famous Broadway choreographer and director. Their love affair, described by people who knew them as passionate and emotionally charged, was mostly hidden from the public and even from many of their friends. The social pressures of that time forced them to hide their relationship by publicly dating women, a trick they both used to protect their privacy and careers. Clift and Robbins' bond was not only romantic, but also intellectually and artistically exciting. Their connection was so deep that when Clift made the big decision in 1948 to leave Robbins and move to Hollywood to pursue movies, Robbins was reportedly devastated by the loss. The emotional intensity of their relationship was clear in Robbins' words to Clift when they parted. He said he could make Clift love him, showing how deep his feelings were and how much was at stake emotionally. This relationship deeply affected both men's lives and careers, showing the intense personal struggles faced by gay artists in a time of widespread hatred. Robbins' artistic genius and his partnership with Clift also had a creative effect beyond their private lives. It's said that Robbins came up with the basic plot of the legendary musical West Side Story after Clift shared an interesting idea with him, showing how their personal and professional worlds came together. According to actor Russ Tamblyn, Robbins credited Clift with inspiring the idea of adapting Romeo and Juliet into a modern story about New York gangs. Tamblyn remembered that Robbins described the moment at a party on Fire Island where Clift proposed the idea. This sparked Robbins' imagination and eventual creation of the groundbreaking musical. This story not only shows Clift's creative influence, but also reveals how important their relationship was in shaping major artistic achievement. Robbins' admiration for Clift went so far as calling him a theatrical genius, showing the respect and love that was the foundation of their relationship. In the early 1950s, Clift's social circle expanded into the world of Hollywood executives when Barney Balaban, the president of Paramount Pictures, invited Clift to join one of the Balaban family vacations in Nassau, Bahamas. Judy Ballybon, Barney's daughter, talked about feeling an immediate and special connection with Cliff, describing their time together as being joined at the hip. Their dating, which lasted several months, was public enough for Judy to attend the New York premiere of Cliff's movie, A Place in the Sun, in 1951, as his date. Despite the media thinking that Ballybon and Cliff were romantically involved in a traditional way, Judy later admitted she didn't understand Cliff's sexuality and didn't know about his ongoing romantic relationship with British actor Roddy McDowall during that time. McDowall, known for his roles in classic movies like Lassie Come Home, had been introduced to Cliff by Elizabeth Taylor, one of Cliff's closest friends. Roddy McDowall's relationship with Cliff was both intense and devoted. During a time when McDowall's acting career was slow, he chose to focus entirely on supporting Cliff, moving from Los Angeles to New York to stay close to him. Their bond lasted about 2 years. And though it eventually ended, McDowall's devotion was so deep that he reportedly tried to kill himself after their breakup, showing how emotionally deep their connection was. Despite the heartbreak, McDowall had no anger and stayed a loyal friend to Cliff until the end. Their professional work together culminated in The Defector, Cliff's final movie, where McDowall's emotional support was crucial for Cliff to finish the project, showing how their personal and professional lives were intertwined. Cliff's romantic life also intersected with other cultural figures of his time. While filming in Italy with Victoria Aldi, Cliff had a brief romance with the celebrated writer Truman Capote, another openly gay artist known for his literary genius and complex social life. The two men shared a connection that went beyond professional, though details of their relationship remain relatively private. Cliff also formed a close friendship with author James Jones during the filming of From Here to Eternity. Jones publicly acknowledged the special bond they shared, and even admitted that he would have pursued an affair with Cliff if Cliff had invited it, showing the magnetic pull Cliff had on those around him. Among Cliff's earlier intimate relationships was with composer Lemon Engel, a figure prominent in the world of music and theater, revealing Cliff's deep ties to the artistic community across multiple disciplines. Additionally, Cliff was involved with Donald Wyndham and his partner Sandy Campbell, both literary figures, demonstrating the breadth of Cliff's social and romantic network within the arts and letters. Arthur Lawrence, a playwright and screenwriter who worked with Clift, hinted in his memoir that Clift may have had a fling with actor Farley Granger, adding another layer to the complexity of Clift's personal life. These relationships, often mixed with friendship, artistic collaboration, and romantic affection, paint a portrait of a man who sought connection and intimacy despite the challenges posed by the social rules of his time. Cliff's ability to navigate these relationships secretly yet deeply speaks to both his vulnerability and his strength, making his personal life as compelling and complex as his famous acting career. For decades, the life and death of Montgomery Clift have been covered in mystery, speculation, and sorrow. A haunting presence in Hollywood's golden age, Clift's piercing eyes and fragile intensity made him an icon of tortured masculinity, both on and off the screen. Yet behind the performances that captivated millions lay a deeply wounded soul, and only now are the grim truths behind his decline finally coming to light. And the revelations are more disturbing than fans ever imagined. Clift's mysterious downfall has long fascinated writers, fans, and critics alike. Once praised as the future of American cinema and compared to legends like Marlon Brando and James Dean, Clift seemed destined for eternal stardom. But by the late 1950s, his career was spiraling, his health deteriorating, and his once beautiful face damaged by a tragic car accident became a symbol of a life broken by more than just physical trauma. Many pointed to the accident as the beginning of the end, but new revelations suggest it was merely a trigger in a far more tragic unraveling. What the public didn't see was a man tormented by demons that ran far deeper than the scars on his face. In an era when homosexuality was considered taboo, even criminal, Clift lived in quiet agony. He was forced to hide his true identity from a judgmental industry and a society that would not accept him. He had to navigate a cruel double life, one in which he could never fully express who he was. Friends who knew the truth often spoke of his deep loneliness, his anxiety, and the mental toll of constantly hiding his authentic self. His pain became a silent companion, feeding into a cycle of addiction, depression, and self-destruction. In recent years, once sealed personal letters, private testimonies, and unearthed studio documents have finally painted a more complete and far darker picture. Clift wasn't just battling Hollywood's expectations. He was being actively manipulated and exploited by a system that knew his truth and used it against him. Studio heads allegedly blackmailed him into silence, using the threat of exposure to control his roles and his earnings. Directors and agents, while benefiting from his talent, reportedly turned a blind eye to his emotional collapse, unwilling to risk their investments for the sake of his well-being. Even his famed comeback in Judgment at Nuremberg masked the grim reality behind the scenes. While audiences marveled at his tortured performance, few knew that Clift was barely functioning during filming, needing multiple takes, medication, and encouragement to deliver even a few lines. His personal physician at the time later revealed that Clift was suffering from a mix of undiagnosed PTSD, substance dependence, and extreme malnutrition, conditions that were routinely ignored or downplayed in public. Perhaps the most heartbreaking revelation is that Clift's death in 1966, long believed to be a sudden heart attack, was more likely the result of years of systemic neglect. It came from emotional suppression and untreated psychological trauma. One close friend even described his final years as a slow suicide, not through a single act, but through the cumulative weight of a world that would not let him live freely, love openly, or heal honestly. According to some accounts, Clift had stopped eating, was drinking heavily again, and had become increasingly isolated in the weeks leading up to his death. He was found alone in his New York townhouse, his body giving out after years of suffering that no one had truly addressed. The mystery of Montgomery Clift is no longer just about a talented actor lost too soon. It is about a man destroyed by a system that demanded brilliance but punished truth. It's about the high cost of repression, the cruelty of fame, and the dangerous silence surrounding mental health in Hollywood. And now that the pieces of his tragic puzzle are finally being assembled, one thing is painfully clear. The truth behind Montgomery Clift's fall from grace isn't just heartbreaking. It's infuriating, and it serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when a society refuses to let a soul live honestly.